Okay, so the question is, what is next for the GameStop trade? Well, there's a few companies that I think have a potential for really just exploding very, very soon. And the reason is because the GameStop trade really showed a weakness in the market. And that was hedge funds and the way they shorted stock. Because there was GameStop, who is still over 100% short, which means that there's more shares out there that are short that are actually out there to even buy from the company. So that is a huge weakness, and I still think that even though the GameStop price has really declined recently, I still think that it could hover well above where it was even 6 months ago, mainly because there's just so many short positions, and at this point, I really don't think that there's going to be a mad rush of people who are buying or selling short to buy back their shares. I don't think that's going to be a mad rush. I think that some of these hedge funds were forced to buy back their shares, but I really do think that it showed a weakness. They are just weathering the storm, probably waiting for it to get back down a little bit lower before they buy back their shares. So how I am personally playing the whole GameStop thing is, if it gets back below $10 or $20 a share, I might just go in with a couple $100 and see what happens. Now, what are some of these other stocks that I just kind of talked about? Now, I spoke of this one in a previous video, but this is Sundial Growers, and I think that this has a potential to run a bit. So, number one is the Americans are going to be legalizing weed, and when they do that, any marijuana stock's going to be going up. It doesn't matter which one it is, it's going to be going up. Will it go down before that happens? There's potential for that, but one thing I really want to show you is the volume that is being traded by this stock right now. The average volume for essentially a penny stock is 435 million shares traded a day. It is currently being traded at 683 million, and it's only a couple of hours into the trading day. It's 12 o'clock. It's basically noon. So this stock alone has been trading at over 1 billion shares a day, and that is ridiculous for anything. Obviously, it's easier to get up there and trade numbers when you're only $1 something, but this has some room to run because of legalization. Plus, there is, I think the last number I read was around close to 50% of the shares are short right now, so that is going to be huge. AMC is another share or another company that I think is going to be also doing very well. They are heavily shorted because, of course, it is a movie theater stock, and there is basically no movie theaters right now unless you live in certain states. So from there, I personally think this has got some room to run. When it comes down to the chart, though, when you start looking at the 1 month, it's starting to consolidate. Now, this could be looked at a few different ways. So it could be consolidating to go down because we've had some of these crazy spikes from the Reddit guys. Or could it be able to be a great recovery trade? So the whole recovery of the whole stock market essentially, but also the recovery of the whole idea of staying at home. Now, where it's sitting at right now, I would assume if it was to consolidate for a few more days and it was to take a run, I would be probably looking at somewhere around $14. That seems to be a good range that it's going to be sitting at. But for the long term, I don't think that this is going to be a great stock. Netflix is really taking a lot of market share. Apple Plus, Disney, whatever it's called, they are all taking market share from the movie companies, especially when new movies may be just skipping the whole theater idea and just going straight to on demand. So essentially, a long story short, what I'm trying to say is any stock that is heavily shorted right now, if it's a company that has a bright future, I would definitely be getting in. It's the same idea as Tesla. Bright future, not so great of news, but great future, and they are going to explode like Tesla did last year. Not that great of news at the beginning of last year. There's a whole a pandemic going on. There's a ton of stuff. There's at the time it was not that great. It's still heavily shorted. I'm going to get to that right now. It's still heavily shorted. But look at the future. EVs are going to be the future, whether you like it or not. I got mixed feelings on the thing. I like gasoline cars. I like the sounds of them, but at the same time, the power that electric cars have is kind of exhilarating. Also, I do own Tesla, so keep that in mind. But also, there's the whole idea of the Biden administration who wants to come in and say, well, there's no more gas, there's no more oil, there's going to be more and more electric vehicles. This is what we want. We want to have renewable energy, which is something that Tesla is also in on. They got the solar roof, the solar panels, the batteries. They've been able to go into Australia and really basically help their electrical grid with not having to fail all the time. So I really think that Tesla is not just a car company, it's also a play on the whole green electricity stuff. Anyways, these are my thoughts. These are the potentials of what's happening in the future, how I would play the whole Reddit thing. And of course, anytime you're speculating, it is a bet. It's not like if you're going in on a company that's like, hey, this is our baseline, we're going to be paying you a 5% dividend over this much amount of time, our stock will go up 5% a year and you'll be all set and you'll be good. It's not the same as that. This is all speculative stuff. Same as Tesla, but you can make a killing doing this if you can really do enough research on, hey, if there's good news that starts coming out, these shorts will have to start buying back their shares. It's not just the fact that people are going to be buying in, it's going to be also the fact of these short sellers needing to buy back shares. So if you can get a couple of good news stories of potentially things that are happening into the future with heavily shorted stocks, this is the way to play it. The whole Gamestop stock idea, there wasn't all that great of future news, but there is the fact that there is a new ownership in town, at least a big stakeholder of ownership in town. And I'm not talking about the Redditors, I'm talking about that company that just bought like 16-something% of the company. But either way, a new board of directors and things like that. So, of course, you could play it for the future of whatever it could become online. But as it comes down to right now, I don't think it's going to be able to trade back up to $500, but you never know. Anyways, I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.